managed to table the resolution, but what they're not doing is explaining why 140 members broke ranks anyway, why this number is significantly higher than previous attempts, and why the momentum behind this is moving in only one direction. That's what we're going to break down here, the full context, the strategy behind it, and why this vote, even though the resolution was technically blocked, actually changes everything about what comes next. Here's what actually happened on December 11th. This wasn't some quiet procedural moment that happened behind closed doors. This was loud, this was public, this was deliberate. Democratic Representative Al Green from Texas forced a vote using a procedural mechanism that left House leadership with absolutely no way to quietly bury the issue. The House had to take a public position. Every member had to go on the record. And when the clerk started calling the roll, it went like this: guilty, not guilty, guilty, not guilty, name after name, vote after vote. Leadership scrambled. Democratic leaders actually joined with Republicans to table the resolution to prevent it from immediately advancing. And technically, yes, they succeeded. The resolution didn't pass that day. But here's what you cannot ignore. 140 members voted to advance it anyway. They broke ranks. They defied leadership. They went on the record saying impeachment should happen now, not later, not after the election, now. And that number is massive. This wasn't just the most outspoken progressives making noise. This wasn't AOC and the squad rallying a symbolic handful of votes. This was moderates, members from competitive districts, lawmakers who usually avoid anything remotely controversial because they're worried about re-election. They took the risk anyway, and that tells you something critical about the internal pressure building inside the Democratic caucus right now. Let's talk about Al Green for a moment, because he's at the center of all of this, and he is not backing down. After the vote, Green delivered a floor speech that was nothing short of explosive. He accused Trump of normalizing political violence, not hinting at it, not flirting with dangerous rhetoric, normalizing it. Green said that Trump has created an environment where threatening lawmakers, where suggesting that members of Congress could be harmed or even killed for their political positions is becoming acceptable. And then he did something even more dramatic. He announced what he called a countdown to impeachment. He promised to file additional articles before the Christmas break. His reasoning was blunt. Congress cannot allow a president to make violence against lawmakers feel justified. That's not rhetorical flourish. That's a sitting member of Congress accusing the president of actively endangering the legislative branch. And again, 140 members agreed with him enough to vote for impeachment. Now, this vote didn't come out of nowhere. Al Green has been pushing toward this moment since earlier this year. This is his third attempt. The first time he focused on abuse of presidential power, arguing that Trump was using the office to punish political enemies and weaken institutions designed to check executive authority. That attempt barely made a ripple. Democratic leadership wasn't interested. Too many members remembered Trump's first impeachment and how it failed to remove him while energizing his base. Then came the second attempt. This time, Green focused on foreign policy, accusing Trump of making unilateral military commitments without congressional approval, essentially usurping Congress's constitutional power to declare war. Again, the argument was constitutionally serious. And again, it didn't gain traction, but something changed over the summer and fall. Trump's rhetoric escalated, not subtly, dramatically. He started openly talking about jailing political opponents. He framed lawmakers who opposed him as enemies, traitors, like threats to disembowel, and the language started carrying an unmistakable undertone. These people deserve punishment. Here's where this gets darker, because this wasn't happening in a vacuum. Capitol Police documented a surge in threats against members of Congress, not just angry emails or social media rants, credible threats that required increased security. Some lawmakers need detective details, offices were warned, families were warned, and these threats consistently followed Trump speeches, Trump posts, Trump statements where he described political opponents in language historically associated with violence. That's when Green shifted his entire strategy. Political violence became the centerpiece of his impeachment case. In a series of floor speeches